live stream. Going to London in a little bit. So I'm going to help you out if you're someone who spends time with a toxic person, a difficult person. They can be difficult for various reasons. With a way to temporarily buffer the draining effects of this person. So if you visit somebody and you have to emotionally recover from visits, and this is something that might really help you out. And especially if there's someone who is narcissistic, like a family member, and you go and live with that person for several days, it might really leave you feeling defeated, not feeling normal, not feeling yourself, and feeling like you have to bounce back, build your confidence back. We all, I'm sure a lot of people relate to this. So firstly, really quickly, of course, the best boundary is a time boundary. To not spend time around difficult people or to heavily minimize it. And creating a life setup where you're not living with a difficult person. You have a good overall lifestyle, good routine. This is obviously super important. It's going to help you the most. But this is a way to temporarily buffer the effects of their behaviors. And I want you to try it before knocking it. So what you do is you imagine this golden light, and it's coming from your chest. It's about an arm's length away. And this golden light is encasing your whole body. And it's thick, it's golden light, and it's protective as well. And you can imagine that it's a shield. And whenever you're going to be around a person who you know has that toxic energy, you imagine this bubble around you. And you can have a mental mantra that you can compare with this. For example, my energy belongs to me. Whatever they say is not my truth. Something that creates this separation between you and the other person. And then when you're speaking to them, keep on imagining that this golden light, this bubble, is still there. And it creates this really effective mental barrier. And it stops you internalizing their behaviors. Because often the toxic people, whether they're aware of it or not, some people are aware of their toxic behaviors, other people just lack that awareness. You won't internalize it. You're keeping it on the other side of that bubble, not letting it get right into your mind and get under your skin. And it's healthy. It's really, really, really healthy to do this. And I've tried loads of things over the years on a personal level and taught people different things that help out as well. And something which other coaches will say, they say, observe but don't engage. When there's a difficult person, notice their behavior, observe it, but don't bite the bait, don't engage with it. And this is a version of that. So you've got this protective shield around you. What else can you do? One thing you can do is mirror and redirect the conversation. So if they're trying to pull it into a negative direction, and they're saying that they've had a really tough time at work, or their back's killing them, something like this, you can be like, no, I can see that your back is hurting you. I can see that you're having a tough time at work. And then you ask a question to change the conversation topic. You want to be in control of the conversation and avoid going down the doors that lead to negativity. And it might mean that the conversation is quite restricted, and that's okay. Ideally in life, you want to be as open with each person you speak to as you possibly can be. With some people, you can be yourself completely, fully open. With other people, you just can't. And you might identify what the topics are to avoid. The topics that lead to manipulative behaviours or negative behaviours. And it's almost like conversational doors being opened and then paths coming from those doors. You want to keep those doors shut. So you have to be careful with the questions you ask. You might even pre-plan some topics, some safe topics, topics that don't involve you, topics that aren't personal to you, that you don't really care about, you don't draw value from. It doesn't affect your self-worth. So you might talk about sports, music, sci-fi, films coming out, traveling, whatever it is, and you keep the conversation out there and not inside here, not something deep and personal. And this basically means that you're not giving them a window to get in there with something negative and affect your mood. So mirroring and redirecting, controlling the conversation topics, this is super important as well. And also recognize that some people, if it's a parent, for example, they often treat you how they treat themselves. And if they're in a bad mood a lot of the time, they're not particularly happy. What this means is that they're going to try and make you feel the way that they feel because they're treating you exactly how they treat themselves. And that is just all they know. That's their pattern. It's like they have a pair of glasses through which they view the world, and that's their lens. The lens is coloured, and they see it the way that they see it. And there's just some things that they can't see. And I know that these things definitely work with practice, but it does take practice. It's a bit like a social martial art that you have to learn and master to deal with difficult people who are in your life. Of course, it's much easier if it's if it's a difficult work colleague, but they can't really affect your position at work. They don't have a power dynamic over you. That's different because they're in the periphery of your life, so you can still use that shield and protect your energy. But they're going to have a much reduced ability to affect you anyway, versus a close family member. And when I was growing up, so my mum's changed a lot over the years, but she was definitely the most difficult parent. She was the more narcissistic one, you could say. But then my dad was difficult as well in his own ways. because he's been through a tough childhood. You can see the general state that he's in, often incredibly depressed, very, very, very down. And it's almost like he's absorbed narcissistic treatment. And his pattern is to treat me the way that he treats himself. And this includes the good voice, his own voice, and then what he's taken on from one of his parents. And I used to find him incredibly draining to be around, and it would be a bit soul destroying. And I would have to recover from visits. So if I went there for a few days, it would take me a few days to feel normal again. So I've had lots of practice dealing with difficult people on both sides, and learning how to overcome that, not have that affect your general happiness life. And it is possible to get to a stage where it doesn't, but it's so much easier when you don't live with toxic people. And when I say toxic people, I don't mean that all of their personality is toxic. They have good sides and bad sides for sure. There's definitely both there, the light and the dark. But it's really great to have strategies in place that actually work for different people in your life. And the whole purpose is just to protect your energy and protect your confidence, not source it on how other people perceive you, especially toxic people, to not allow them to mess with your worldview. So definitely, if you have a toxic person in your life and it's not someone that you can just cut yourself off from, try this visualization and mantra. It definitely works really, really well on a short-term basis. And try mirroring them and redirecting the conversation so it stays away from topics where there's room for them to put you down, criticize, say something negative, something that sucks the life out of the room. And keep all their behaviors on the outside of that shield rather than internalizing it. And this makes a huge difference. Doing these strategies, especially pairing both together, you can spend a couple of days with someone who is, let's say, very toxic, and you'll come away feeling pretty much exactly the same. And I can always teach tools to bounce back in other videos, how to recover from being around abusive, toxic, difficult people. And yeah, it's amazing how people at my events, and I imagine a lot of people on my YouTube channel, will have toxic people in their life. And this creates some of the biggest problems. And I'm someone that's really overcome these things massively. So when I was in high school, I'll tell you this before wrapping up the video. I'm just checking the time. So I used to have bright yellow skin. So I had bright yellow skin, and the reason why was because I was living with so much anxiety and stress from these different dynamics from both parents, being picked on at school, all these things combined. So I was living under so much anxiety and stress that it affected my liver, and it caused my skin to turn yellow. So I totally know what it's like to be on the receiving end of those kinds of treatment and to not be equipped to deal with it, to not have those social self-defense tools. Um, so I've been on that side of it, totally overcome those things. Crazy, crazy journey. And also gone from really crippling levels of social anxiety where I was too scared to ask a stranger for the time. Couldn't make small talk, wouldn't speak to the person sat next to me in class, even if I was in the class for years. So I was just the most quiet, even selectively mute for some period of time, where I would speak 1 to 2 words a day. So I've been that extremity of quietness. And now I run my business. I do public speaking, live events. I've done live improv comedy, all these different things. And now I always temper myself and try to speak a bit less. So I've really gone from one extreme to the other in several areas of life. This is why I coach people. The lived experience makes such a difference. Not just coaching from a textbook. So much more helpful to have someone who really knows what they're talking about from living it. So yeah, I'm going to be shooting off soon, meeting a friend in London. So next time you're around a toxic person, try this visualization. With practice, it definitely makes a difference. And until next time, have an amazing rest of your day. If you're thinking of trying a coaching session, seeing if it is potentially helpful for you to talk things out, then drop me an email and you can try my taster coaching session free of charge to see if it's helpful for you personally, and also to see for me if you're someone who I can definitely help out. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to shoot off now.